Hello everyone, and welcome to SUNUP. I'm Lyndall Stout. With fall right around the corner, it's the time of year we start talking about the Oklahoma Quality Beef Network and the upcoming sales. For some perspective, here's SUNUP's Curtis Hare with the program's new coordinator.
When it comes to the value-added program here in Oklahoma, a lot of producers take part in it. But before we get to the upcoming sale dates, we want to welcome our new coordinator, Paul Vining. Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Oklahoma.
Well, it's good to be in Oklahoma. So I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. I'd moved here from Florence, Alabama, which is the northwest corner of the state, where I was a regional extension agent working with the Alabama Cooperative Extension System for about 5 years. And I worked with beef cattle producers there and pasture management.
Now you're in Oklahoma. Talk a little bit about kind of what's maybe some similarities that you see from both Oklahoma and Alabama.
I like to tell people I'm not from Oklahoma, but I got here as fast as I could. So I've enjoyed it. It's great to see another state, see another place. You learn a lot, and it's very interesting. I've been to the western part of the state and the eastern part of the state. I'd say the eastern part of the state, kind of towards Arkansas, is very similar to Alabama as far as topography goes. The western part of the state is a different story. So I've really enjoyed getting to see the different, flora and fauna and stuff in the state. There's a lot more cattle out here, of course, in Oklahoma, and that's really what brought me here, is that opportunity to work with cattle producers on a larger scale.
So let's just dive right into the program that you're the new coordinator of, the Oklahoma Quality Beef Network. But first, let's kind of walk through, like if someone's new, wants to be a new member of the program, what are some things that they need to do to qualify for that program?
So the OQBN program, the Oklahoma Quality Beef Network program, is a VAC 45 program, which means those calves need to be weaned for 45 days, had 2 rounds of vaccinations, the respiratory vaccinations and blackleg. They need to be dehorned, castrated, and some other improved management practices also need to be implemented.
So that, the vaccination in the 45 days weaning period, that can seem like a lot to a producer who might be used to weaning their calves for 20 days. But on the buyer's end of this spectrum, they're getting what they pay for.
Exactly, Curtis. Weaning those calves and vaccinate them boosts their immunity and allows them to enter that next phase of the beef production system healthier, and they experience less sickness in the feed yard and just that overall improved health over the next phase of life.
Now, when it comes for these upcoming sale dates, I do want to touch on, it's been a really challenging year for a lot of producers here in Oklahoma, given the drought, lack of hay, just a myriad of issues. So how is that going to impact OQBN in your opinion?
Well, first of all, my heart goes out to the producers. I know farming is no easy task, and ranching is no easy task. And it has been dry, so there is a shortage of hay, shortage of forage. If they can hold those calves, I know a lot of cattle are being sold right now. If they can hold those calves until the fall, kind of November, December time period, I believe those premiums will still be there. If you look at the price, the prices throughout the year, those prices are going to come back up kind of in that November, December time period. And I think that those premiums will still be there. I think this program started in 2001 and still going strong. So, that's 20 years. And I would encourage them to hold on to them if they can.
Well, thanks, Paul. We're really glad you're here, and we'll look forward to talking with you more when those sale dates get a little closer. And for a link to some of those upcoming sale dates, go to our website, sunup.okstate.edu.
Welcome to the Mesonet Weather Report. I'm Wes Lee. Oklahomans have been experiencing a heat wave this summer that at times seemed overwhelming. But when we look back at the data, we see that the higher than normal temperatures can actually be traced back into last year. This departure from normal map for 2021 shows that smooth average high temperatures moved above the normal line sometime in August. Smooth temperatures are designed to show trends by taking out the daily fluctuations. The temperatures mainly stayed above the normal line to the end of the year, with December being extremely warm. Switching to 2022, we see that the high temperatures spent more time above the black normal line than below. After a brief cool down in early June, high temperatures have skyrocketed up ever since. The heat wave on Tuesday had more sites showing triple digits than not. Then came what we hope is a game-changing cold front. This dropped temperatures statewide, with some sites cooler by more than 20 degrees on Wednesday. When you look at the blue colors in the NWS forecast maps for the next week or two, they expect these cooler temperatures to hang around. So hopefully we will spend a while at or below normal with intermittent warm days for a change instead of the recent blast furnace. Gary's up next with an expanding drought map.
Thanks, Wes, and good morning, everyone. Well, I know we're enjoying the cooler weather and hopefully wetter weather, but right now we have a pretty dire drought situation going on in the state, and our drought monitor map definitely needs some improvement. Let's get right to it. Well, simply put, this is the most extreme to exceptional drought we've seen in the state since really back in 2013, when we were still in the depths of that horrible 2010 through 15 drought. So we definitely need improvements. We need rainfall. Much of the southern half of the state in extreme drought. Much more of the northern half of the state is now in extreme drought than what we had last week. It is starting to expand more. And of course, that exceptional drought down in the far southwest and also in the middle of the panhandle, not good signs for those areas. Okay, this is the rainfall map from the Mesonet for the June 11th period through August 17th. So this is the rainfall that makes up the bulk of that drought monitor map due to the flash drought. And we do see that southern Oklahoma area, not much rainfall at all, basically less than an inch in most cases. Now, of course, as you look about the state, there are places that have 4 to 5 to 6 inches, even higher, but those are few and far between. And in some of those areas, they're dealing with long-term drought that doesn't really reflect some of those shorter-term rainfall amounts helping much. So, again, just a bad situation over the last 2 months or so with the rainfall amounts. And if we just look at the departure from normal for the last 60 days, again, a good indication of where those bad areas are on the drought monitor map. We have areas from 4 to 5 to 6 inches below normal, close to 7 inches below normal in some areas. But again, that's way too much of a deficit for the hot temperatures we've had this summer. So that's the basis of our flash drought. Now, not only have we gotten some rainfall this week, but as we look into next week, it's looking even better with much greater odds of above normal precipitation, especially across the southeastern half of the state, but really encompassing the entire state. And finally, if we take a look at the seasonal drought outlook map from the Climate Prediction Center, this encompasses basically September, October, and November. We do see all of the southern plains, including Oklahoma, in the drought improves and even drought removal likely areas. So that would certainly be good news if we see that through most of the fall. Now, we do have to caution that it seems like much of this map is based on what we're going to see in the next 2 weeks. So we do need that a rainfall forecast to come to fruition in the next 2 weeks. Okay, so we have some cooler weather. Now all we need is the rainfall. So let's let Mother Nature get at it. Hopefully we have better news next week. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.
The USDA recently released some information that shows the impact on hay of the continuing drought. Here to talk about it is Derrell Peel, our livestock marketing specialist. Derrell, how is this impacting Oklahoma and the surrounding region?
You know, this data shows that hay production in Oklahoma is estimated to be down about 10% on a year-over-year basis. And, you know, on May 1, our hay stocks estimate was down almost 48%. So when you combine those two together, the hay supply for this year, the beginning stocks plus hay production, is down about 17%. And that's true in most of the major, several of the major hay states, which are also big beef cattle states. A combination of either reduced May 1 supplies, which is really carryover impacts from drought earlier, plus reduced production this year, is leading to very tight hay supplies in all of this region and generally across the country. As we prepare for winter, does that mean buying hay will cost us more this year? Absolutely. You know, hay prices are already high. Again, we've had carryover impacts from last year, but we're going to set record prices for alfalfa hay and for all other hay without a doubt. And at the same time,
pasture conditions aren't so great and likely will continue to deteriorate?
They are. You know, we've seen drought re-advance again this midsummer. In Oklahoma, about 2/3 of our pasture is currently rated at poor to very poor. Just 9% is rated in good condition, and 0% is rated in excellent condition. So, you know, again, we're nearly through the growing season. It's going to be a long winter with a combination of not much hay and not much forage to work with.
With these types of conditions, do you think this cattle liquidation momentum will continue?
Well, it seems to be. You know, we've already seen a lot of movement so far this year, but if you look in the last 4 weeks in Oklahoma, auction volumes for feeder cattle are up about 11%. Well, that would suggest that we're probably weaning calves early, moving cattle, those feeder cattle into town early. And then on the cull cow side, you know, again, we've seen really strong cow slaughter this year. The auction volume for cull cows in the last 4 weeks is up 115%, so more than double for the same period a year ago.
So a lot of kind of dismal news. We know what's going on, but it's still hard to hear it. Any good news you can talk about this week?
You know, there is good news actually in prices in the cattle markets. Despite all of these impacts, despite the increased volume of cattle moving through the markets, prices are actually very strong. So we're seeing prices for feeder cattle advancing, and we predicted that generally. There's a trend of stronger cattle prices. Cattle numbers are getting tighter over time, and so despite these drought impacts, we're seeing stronger feeder cattle prices, and even the cull cow market with the volume we had. There was a couple of weeks in July when the volume really overwhelmed the market, and we saw prices drop briefly, but they've bounced right back and continue to be very, very strong at this point.
Well, we'll end on a little bit of optimism today.
Exactly.
Derrell, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
It's hard to believe it's that time of year to start thinking about wheat planting. So Kim, what are a few things that producers need to consider to make a profit this year?
They've got to put a sharp pencil to figure out their costs and returns. You look at the old cliche, if you can't make a profit with a pencil and pen on the desk, you're probably not going to make a profit with a tractor in the field.
Oklahoma producers know the input costs are high this year. So how does those input costs going to affect profit?
Well, they're going to reduce profit unless we have a relatively good price. I go back to COVID 2019. Since then, nitrogen prices have increased about 80%. They've came down a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Phosphorus and potassium have increased 26%. Diesel 60%, and machinery 25%. So we're going to have a higher price. Looks like we're going to get it because of the stocks to use ratio. We talked about that last week. Hard red winter wheat stocks to use ratio has dropped from 61% in 19 to 39%. You look at all U.S. wheat, it's dropped from 50% to 31%. World stocks to use ratio from 39% to 34%. The world needs wheat. If there's not profit in producing wheat, there's not going to be any wheat. There will be a profit to produce wheat for most producers.
What's the market offering right now for 2023 harvested wheat?
Well, in northern Oklahoma, $8 to $8.10. That's the Kansas City July 23 contract price minus 70 cents. If you go out the Panhandle, it's $8.20 to $8.30. That's that July contract minus 50 cents. Southern Oklahoma, $7.70, and that's that contract minus $1. So relatively good prices looking into 23.
So how are our summer crops faring right now?
Well, you look at summer crops, their crop conditions, corn and cotton, they're in the low 40s. The average, 5-year average, is in the mid 60s. Soybeans is 35%. Again, the 5-year average is in the mid 60s. Milo is 26%. The summer crops have been decimated by the drought, and producers are going to have a hard time getting any profit out of that crop.
So how's that going to impact prices?
If you look at prices in northern Oklahoma for corn, $6.25. Go to the Panhandle area, it's up to $7.15. Sorghum is at $5.75. And soybeans at $13.20. Cotton has went from 90 cents a few weeks ago up to $1.16 on the December futures contract. Take 3 cents off of that, and you've got our cotton You've got our cotton price for this fall at around $1.13.
So what does all this mean for Oklahoma producers?
This means the market's going to offer them a profit to produce the commodity. Now the weather's got to cooperate like it did not. The weather hasn't cooperated with our summer crops. If it had, we would have had a profit in those. It's also extremely important that farmers put a strong pencil to every decision. They've got to look at those costs. They got to look at what the market's offering for that commodity at the harvest time period, and they got to make sure it's offering them a profit now before they invest their money to produce it.
All righty, thanks a lot, Kim. Dr. Kim Anderson, Grain Marketing Specialist here at Oklahoma State University.
Good morning, Oklahoma. Welcome to Cow-Calf Corner. Well, drought is impacting us pretty dramatically, and among the hard decisions that we're faced with right now in the cow-calf business is potentially having to liquidate or cull some cows. Now, it doesn't come without a lot of thought put in, but the upside and the benefit, if we do eliminate some cows, we're going to ease up on our grazing system and allow the long-term health of those stressed pastures to recover a little sooner and save back some of that forage and cover. And the other benefit is just reducing our feed bill. So today we address cow culling criteria, and a lot of these ideas have been around forever, but we're going to relate them to what we face right now this summer. First thing that I would cull cows on right now would be their pregnancy status. If I've got heavy bred cows, I'm going to want to keep a hold of those the longest. Short bred cows are going to come second to that. But if I've got a bunch of open cows around right now, that would be my first culling criteria. From our high national cow inventories in 2018, we're down about 6%. We know we're seeing more cows go to market almost on a daily basis at this point in Oklahoma and a lot of other parts of the country. That lower cow inventory that we're going to be looking at in the future is going to equate to fewer calves on the market and higher value per pound of those calves that are going to go to market in the next few years. So if I've got some heavy bred cows, those are the ones I want to hang on to. Those are the cows I'm going to be able to capture value out of the calves produced the soonest. Second culling criteria that we get into right now is just age of cows. We typically think about cows coming into their prime at about 4 years of age or when they're raising that third calf. Typically cows at about 10 are going to start to break down, be more likely to suffer from one problem or another. So if I can, I'm going to tend to keep my younger cows or those cows that are in the prime of production as opposed to the older cows I'm dealing with. Third thing is just orneriness and bad dispositions. I could tell some stories here about growing up with certain breeds of cattle, but Cow-Calf Corner is not the time to get into that. Basically, if we've got cows that are hard to work with, hard to catch, or aggressive in their behavior, we might have made excuses for them when times were good and we had a lot of grass, but right now, they're out of excuses. The next topic I get into is just the oddball type of cows. Do we have cows out there that got bad udders, bad mouths, bad teeth, bad legs, some kind of issue with them? Maybe they don't shed hair and they can't handle the summer heat in Oklahoma very well. Whatever it is about them that makes them an oddball or makes them non-conforming, I'd get rid of those kind of cows. And the fifth thing that we address today is if all your cows are 4 years old, tight bred, due to calve soon, you got no issues in any of them, and you've figured out you need to get half of them off your feed bill, that benefit that we've talked about on Cow-Calf Corner before of just keeping production records, if we do nothing else, but at weaning each year, we weigh the calves, we weigh the cows, and we preg check the cows. Over time, we can take a look at that and figure out what percentage of our cows' mature weight, both on a herd-wide and an individual cow basis, that they're weaning off. Most herds are going to range somewhere from the low 30s to 50% or better of their mature weight they're going to weigh off. Let's say theoretically, we've got a herd that we've figured out we average weaning off, or cows average weaning off 45% of their mature weight. and on an individual basis, our cows range from 35 to 55% of their mature weight weaned. Well, if we got to get rid of half of them, let's go identify those cows that are sitting in here from 35 to 45%. We take them off, get rid of them. We've cut our feed bill in half, and the positive light at the end of that tunnel is we still own the most productive and best half of our cows. I hope this helps. Thanks for joining us on Cow-Calf Corner.
And just a quick reminder about some upcoming field tours and events. First up are our sorghum tours. The McCall Research and Demonstration Farm will hold its event on August 24th in Eva, Oklahoma. And just a few days later, the Southwest Research Station will hold its tour in Tipton. And we can't forget about our fall soil health field training on September 1st. It will be held at the OSU Agronomy Research Station in Stillwater. You'll learn about soil health and conservation, as well as cover crop management, soil pit, and rainfall demonstrations. For more information about these events, go to our website, sunup.okstate.edu.
As our 4-H and FFA exhibitors and even some of our open show exhibitors start to prepare for our state fairs and fall shows really this year, I think it's important to consider biosecurity really before, during, and after the event. Definitely need to have a visit with their veterinarian on what are the herd health care plan for those particular animals. Do we need to have vaccinations? Do we need to be prepared? Do we need to have medications on set and ready to go in case we have an issue at the show or not? And then we need to think about how we're going to isolate as best possible those animals at the show, as well as equipment. We want to avoid sharing equipment, particularly things like water buckets, feed pans, etc. And then we need to think about what's our plan before we ever leave the house on what we're going to do when we get home. So ideally, we want to keep those animals that attended the show. At a minimum, we want to keep them isolated from the rest of the group at home. We've got lots of families with, youth exhibits, but they also have commercial herds that are on the place as well. And so we want to keep those show animals isolated for about 2 weeks as best possible for both contact, as well as we don't want to be the carrier of disease from sick animals to healthy animals. And so we want to make sure we care for anything that's healthy first, care for those sick animals last.
Finally today, a special honor for a longtime contributor to SUNUP, who also happens to be a mentor to military veterans as they pursue their education.
And so when we talk about bringing it back, we talk about an afternoon of family and friends gathered around in your honor? Well, if you ask Dr. Larry Sanders, he'd probably say he's not worthy of it. But ask anyone who knows this humble former professor and extension specialist, this recognition is most certainly deserved.
Whether it be his fellow faculty, our staff members, students, I don't think I've heard a negative even sound towards Dr. Sanders. It's just been mutual respect from every single aspect of higher education.
We're going to do a lot to solve our debt.
For years, SUNUP viewers have tuned in to get their ag policy news from Dr. Sanders. But outside of extension in the agricultural world, Larry is known for his work in serving another community that he's a proud member of: veterans.
Dr. Sanders has been such a big influence and such a big inspiration for our student veterans.
Vincent Rivera is the coordinator of the OSU Veteran Success Center. A while back, Vincent and his team decided it was time to update the name of an award that recognizes the efforts of a faculty or staff member who champions and supports the cause of military veterans and military-affiliated students. The honor needed to be named after a distinguished faculty member who's invaluable to the student veteran community. And it wasn't hard finding that person.
So if you would please unveil the Dr. Sanders Award.
Well, I was humbled and honored to receive this. I never expected it. I have worked with student veterans for much of my career here, and I know how hard it is for students to come back into a college setting, so it's meant a lot to me.
The transition from military to civilian can be tough. Transition from civilian to the university, just the same. There's the university has its own culture, its own norms, written and unwritten rules. And to see another veteran who made it to be a doctor, and then for that same professor to give back and to care and to show in meaningful ways that I'm not just here to teach you, I'm here to give to you and to help you, that just sort of buoys you a little further along.
Sometimes they don't understand that they need the help and you have to reach out to them. I was in the Army and I was in Vietnam for 2 tours, and at first it was very difficult to talk about, and as I began to talk about it more, I began to realize that it was therapy for me.
While spending decades talking with other veterans helped Dr. Sanders greatly, spending time with those closest to him is the ultimate joy.
Family is real therapy. Having a great grandson and grandchildren who help me make the heart grow fonder and fill the gap.
In Payne County, I'm Curtis Hare.
That'll do it for us this week. Remember, you can see SUNUP anytime on our website and also follow us on YouTube and social media. I'm Lyndall Stout. Have a great week, everyone, and remember, Oklahoma agriculture starts at SUNUP.